Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today our topic of discussion is accountancy. Now, accountancy is a subject for commerce students. Under accountancy, we will be discussing the difference between the two terms accountancy and accounting. Many a times students get confused between the two. Accountancy is the subject that is there, and in accountancy as a subject we have accounting. Accounting is the application part of accountancy. Now let's take an example to understand this. Mathematics is a subject. And in mathematics, what we do basically is problem solving. So problem solving is the application part of mathematics. Similarly, here we have accountancy as a subject and accounting is its application part. Now, what is it that happens in accounting? There are various steps which we need to go through. Firstly, any kind of transaction. Now, what is a transaction? A transaction is an event where the finance of a particular company is being altered or changed. So, any kind of transaction that takes place has to be first collected. The information, the necessary information has to be collected. And then we will be recording that information, which is the second step. Followed by classifying that information, which means whatever the relevant information that has been collected, it has to be arranged. It has to be bifurcated and put into the respective places so that it becomes easier for us to understand the various mechanisms. Followed by summarizing. The information that we are collecting, it is being collected usually on a daily basis. For example, a business does purchases and sales almost on an everyday basis. So at the end of the month, we will not be concerned with everyday, day-to-day transactions. Rather, we will be concerned with the total volume of purchases and sales. Therefore, we need to summarize whatever information that we have collected and classified. Followed by analysis or analyzing. We have to analyze and find out whether things are in our favor or not. Now, what would that mean? Let's say at the end of the month, we see that our purchases are very high. We are buying a lot of materials, but our sales are not in touch with the purchases or not meeting our required expectations. That calls for a problem. That is the reason why comes the communication part. Why? Because this problem has to be communicated to the relevant authorities who will take the necessary actions in order to solve this problem. All these steps together, they make up the accounting, which means all these activities are what we do in accounting. And that is what we study when we talk about accountancy as a subject. Moving on to our next topic of discussion. Why accounting is art and science? Now, it must be a little bit confusing for some of us that how is it a science and an art at the same time? Let's try and understand. In case of art, whenever any kind of activity that we do, we have a lot of flexibility involved in there, which means that we are free to do whatever we want. Any kind of drawing is a work of art. It can be done in any way possible. There are no hard and fast rules to be followed as such. Whereas in case of science, what happens? We have certain rules which we have to follow, and those laws governing the principle have to be applied and always upheld. So, in case of accounting, there are certain areas where we are free to be flexible. We can choose whichever method we want to go for. Let's say depreciation. We will have a separate video where we will talk about depreciation as a topic. Today, let's try and understand depreciation. There are various methods of applying depreciation. So, we are free to choose whichever method we want, which makes accounting an art because we have that flexibility. Secondly, in case of science, what happens? We have certain rules which we need to follow. Like we have the debit and credit rules for accounting. Similarly, in science also, we have the law of gravity. That is something which we have to follow. So similarly, accounting is a science as well because there are certain rules which we need to follow and we are bound to do so, making accounting an art as well as a science. The next topic, the difference between bookkeeping and accounting. Now, what is the difference between the two? Let's have a look over here. All the various steps that were involved in accounting. The first one, collecting. The second one, recording. And the third one, classifying. The first three steps that we see here, These are the various steps that are involved in bookkeeping, which means that the remaining steps are not a part of bookkeeping, but of course they are a part of accounting, which makes us understand that bookkeeping is a subpart of accounting. So, bookkeeping is nothing but a part of accounting, whereas accounting is a bigger bracket, which includes not only bookkeeping but the remaining activities also, making it a complete process. I hope this video was helpful, and if you liked the content that I have shared with you, you can share it with your friends. We will meet again for the next video. Thank you.